What's going on, everybody? Shiraz Ahmed here, and today we're going to be talking about the layoffs that have been announced by many major tech companies. Now, several of these firms saw huge growth in both revenue and numbers of employees during the COVID-19 pandemic, but now they're starting to look at cutting costs in anticipation of a global recession that some say is never coming and others argue is already here. So let's dig into it. You've probably read the headlines or in the news or heard something about some of the biggest tech companies in the US and across the world laying off massive numbers of employees. Now, in today's video, I'm going to try to summarize some of these stories and also discuss some of the reasons about why this is happening and, more importantly, why now. So let's start by looking at what's been going on with a few of the biggest companies, at least most visibly in the United States. Now, whether you love it or hate it, Twitter has become the so-called talk of the town or town square of the internet. American billionaire Elon Musk recently acquired the company for about $44 billion, mostly funded through debt. Now, these debt payments caused the company that was barely making a profit to begin with to start hemorrhaging money. Now, Elon figured one way to reduce these losses, which he stated were about $4 million per day, was to lay off about half of its existing employees. Now, we could probably do a whole video on just this one alone, but some of the highlights were that Twitter employee who corrected some of Musk's claims about the company on Twitter was then fired, also funny enough over Twitter. There were also reports of fired staff being asked to return after they were accidentally let go. Now, journalists writing about this were actually unable to get any comment or official replies from the company, as they had apparently let the media department go. So, as of November the 22nd, Ars Technica was reporting that Twitter was hiring again and that 2,700 employees were still on the payroll or still a part of the company. Now, Google's parent company, Alphabet, so far has actually not laid off any staff. However, there are reports out there that say that they're looking to lay off approximately 10,000 of what they would call low-performing employees. Most of Google's services still seem to be profitable, but it does have this weird habit of spending tons of money on a project and then abruptly canceling it. Anybody remember Google Plus? How about Google Tango, Google Talk, Google Nexus, Google Glasses, Google Hangouts, Google Stadia? There's actually a website called killedbygoogle.com that lists dozens of these projects that ended up never being panned out. Now, maybe they should lay off the person in charge with coming up with all of these ideas. That might be a start. Now, Meta, which owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, has already laid off around 11,000 employees, which represents about 13% of its total staff. Now, these layoffs come as CEO Mark Zuckerberg sinks billions in his metaverse project, which seems to be nothing more than the world's most expensive meme, with most users lasting less than a month. Unfortunately, most of them never return. Now, Second Life, which was launched in 2003, now that's almost 20 years ago now, which in the tech world is like a lifetime ago, has more daily active users than Meta's flagship Horizons World. Now, in a letter to staff posted on their corporate website, Zuckerberg said that I got this wrong and I apologize for that, but he wasn't talking about the money that he spent on the Metaverse project. Instead, he blames overhiring during the pandemic, a decline in e-commerce and ad sales, increased competition, and frankly, a wider economic downturn. Now, despite taking responsibility for costing 11,000 people to lose their job, he himself did not take a pay cut, and so far has spent in excess of $15 billion on the Metaverse project, which according to a report by The Verge, not even its own developers really want to use. So what happens to these employees? Well, it's a little different depending on what each company they were with, but most of them are getting some combination of severance and health continuation, career and immigration support. Now, some staff at Twitter have alleged that these layoffs violate the Warren Act, which, if true, could mean that Twitter could be forced to pay out potentially massive compensation. Other companies that laid off staff during the pandemic were also sued and forced to pay their employees. Now, Florida hotel operator Rosen Hotels and Rosen Limited was ordered to pay $2.3 million to 3,600 workers. And car rental company Hertz and Hooters restaurant chain were also forced to pay undisclosed amounts to their employees. Now, the one unique problem that these tech workers are going to face is that they're actually used to be paying extremely high salaries and as well as very generous benefits and working conditions. Given that most of these companies are reducing staff or putting hiring freezes in, it might be quite difficult for them ultimately to find a job with the salaries and conditions that they're ultimately grown accustomed to working in. Now, thank you for watching yet another video. If you have other topics or things that you want to see me cover, I'm going to put my contact information at the end. As always, I really do appreciate the support. If you like and appreciate the content that I've been creating, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button, as it really does help out the channel. Until next time, please stay safe out there, everybody, and all the best. Bye for now.